how can sand, something you walk on at the beach, become glass, strong enough to hold up skyscrapers and survive space travel? From windows and bottles to fiber optics carrying the internet, glass shapes our world in ways we barely notice. But not all sand can become glass. The kind we need isn't the soft, rounded grains you find in deserts. That sand is too smooth. Instead, glassmakers look for silica sand, quartz that's been broken down over billions of years by rivers, wind, and time itself. Every individual granule itself looks perfectly normal, but silica is a perfect building block. Composed of silicon and oxygen, silica tolerates an incredible amount of heat before it melts. Glass isn't really solid. It's more stable than a liquid, but is a man-made rock that froze before it crystallized, like granite or quartz. That's what gives it its unique clarity. Long before factories and skyscraper windows, nature created the first glass. When volcanoes erupted, molten lava sometimes cooled so quickly it froze into a shiny black rock, obsidian. Early humans valued obsidian. It was sharp enough to create blades as well as tools and arrows, which were tougher than bone or wood. However, the true moment of discovery came because of a happy accident. Nearly 4,000 years ago, in Mesopotamia and Egypt, fireworkers, while working with a fire, noticed something interesting. When sand was heated with ash or other minerals in the heat, those materials started to be fused together into a very hard, shiny material. By this point, the first man-made glass was created. At first, it wasn't for windows or cups. It was far too rare and precious for that. Instead, glass became decoration, tiny beads worn by nobles, colorful amulets buried with the dead, even small vessels to hold perfumes and oils. To ancient civilizations, glass wasn't just a material, it was a treasure, almost as valuable as gemstones. From rare treasures of the past, glass eventually became a craft, and today an industry powered by fire. But here's the challenge. Pure silica sand doesn't melt easily. It takes nearly 1,700 degrees Celsius, hotter than molten lava, just to begin softening. That's where chemistry lends a hand. Glassmakers reduce the melting temperature by mixing the sand with sodium carbonate and calcium carbonate. This increases speed, reduces the cost, and provides an improved control of the initial melt. Calcium carbonate also imparts strength to the final glass and provides better resistance to cracking and pressure. And there's another secret ingredient: recycled glass. Every bottle, jar, or sheet of scrap glass can be melted back down and added to the mix. Not only does this save energy, but it makes the melting process smoother. In fact, using recycled glass can cut furnace temperatures by hundreds of degrees, making glass one of the most recyclable materials on Earth. Inside the furnace, the raw mix transforms. The heat is so intense the room glows orange, and the sand mixture begins to flow like glowing honey. Operators wearing heat-proof suits keep a close eye on everything. Every moment and stir counts. Any trapped bubble or abrupt drop in temperature could cause the batch to fail. What started as rough grains of sand is now a liquid, brighter than fire, ready to be shaped into glass. Molten glass doesn't move like water. It's thick, heavy, and sticky, more like honey glowing in the heat. And just like honey, if it cools too quickly or unevenly, it becomes a mess. That's why shaping glass is one of the most delicate stages of the process. Glassmakers evolved a variety of methods over the centuries. One of the earliest is glass blowing, which involves collecting molten glass in a hollow pipe and inflating it to create a bubble. A luminous lump of sand might be turned and shaped into a bottle, vase, or even elaborate artwork. However, a separate process is employed to create transparent, flat sheets that are used in windows and screens. Poured upon a bath of liquid tin, the molten glass floats like oil on water. This method, known as the float glass process, produces distortion-free, flawlessly smooth sheets. This method is used in almost every window in the globe today. In this case, every detail counts. The strength and clarity of a sheet can be destroyed by a single trapped bubble. Thus, it is necessary to work over, and move the molten glass very, very carefully. It combines elements of handicraft and science. At this point, the glowing liquid has acquired shape, and the metamorphosis feels finished. However, the adventure is far from over. Glass must pass one more test before it can be delivered to our homes. It must cool down without shattering. Shaping is only half the battle. Now the glass has to cool, slowly and carefully, or it will tear itself apart. As the hot sheet leaves the tin bath or the forming line, it enters a long tunnel called an annealing layer. Inside, the temperature drops in small, controlled steps. This slow cool relaxes hidden stresses trapped in the glass. Rush it, and tiny forces inside will pull in different directions and crack the sheet. Take your time, and the structure settles into a stable, clear plane. Bottles and jars go through the same idea at a different scale into an annealing oven where they lose heat evenly so the neck, body, and base don't cool at different speeds. For extra strength, some glass takes a second trip through heat. First, it's cut to size. Then it's reheated to near its softening point and blasted with cold air. This is tempering. The surface freezes first and locks the warm core inside. As the center cools, it squeezes the surface tight, creating a tough outer skin. The result is several times stronger than regular glass. If it does fail, it breaks into small, blunt pieces instead of sharp shards. There's also laminated glass, 2 or more sheets bonded with a clear plastic layer. Under heat and pressure, they fuse into one panel. Even if the glass cracks, the inner layer holds everything together. That's why many buildings use laminated panes for safety and sound control, and windshields stay in one piece. Quality checks happen here too. Workers look for stress patterns with special lights, measure tiny waves on the surface, and test the way tempered glass breaks. Only the panels that pass make it out. Now the transformation is complete. The glow is gone, the shape is locked, and the glass is ready for the world. Glass isn't just for windows anymore. It is how the internet gets to your devices through fiber optic cables, stronger than steel and thinner than hair. It protects your phone from drops and scratches, called Gorilla Glass. In automobiles, tempered glass is designed to shatter in a safe manner, and laminated glass windshields are still safe even when they're cracked. Glass is a part of our smartphones and satellites, highways, and heavenly bodies. Glass plays an important role in our modern lives. Glass is frequently thought of as being brittle. If you drop a cup, it will shatter instantly. But the same glass can also be formed into a thick, bulletproof sheet. It all depends on how it's handled. Structure is crucial. Glass, in contrast to crystals, is an amorphous solid, a liquid that has frozen with haphazard bonds and lacks an ordered atomic structure. Because of this, the material is more flexible, but less predictable. Tempering gives the surface a tight squeeze that conceals its strength. Layers are fused together by lamination, which has a plastic core that remains solid even after cracking. It is the quintessential paradox. Unbreakable in rockets and skyscrapers, but delicate in your kitchen. Glass is one of the greatest building elements that humanity has ever used, from sand to strength. If you enjoyed this journey from sand to glass, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that uncover science shaping our world.